This is the Amp Hour Podcast. Recorded February 22nd, 2017. Episode 337. Fake it till you make it.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
What's up, nerd?
Hello, nerd. How are you?
And fellow nerds.
Yes. Oh, yes. Our nerdle audience. What was it? Nerdle?
Nerdle. Yes, nerdle is
nerds,
the
all
term.
nerds and nerdles and aspiring nerds, and yes.
A nerdle is an aspiring nerd. Yes.
Yes. Or that's a fledgling nerds. And someone said it should be nerdling. Whatever. We're overdoing it. Yeah.
No, I like nerdle.
I like nerdle too. It's kind of like sounds like turtle, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, what's new? How you been?
Busy.
Yeah. What's going on? More shipping.
More shipping.
Yeah.
Yep. All sorts of stuff. Just business stuff and trying to get things done and trying not to be lazy about it.
Cool.
Yeah. That's half the fight.
Yeah. Yep. You been building stuff? Anything? I guess we could start with that.
I've been building. I'm about to probably do that this afternoon.
Yeah?
I'm going to be doing I'll be doing a PCB layout this afternoon.
Nice.
So,
what kind of stuff?
That's follow on to my Hixie tube counter.
Oh, cool.
Thingamabob.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that stuff.
So yeah, there's a lot of people have been asking for that, and fair enough.
Yeah.
You know?
That's great.
So, yeah.
I just got a DigiKey order, and that's always a nice day when you get the parts in, but I am still waiting for PCBs. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can get your parts next day or same day.
Oh yeah, I
know.
don't pay for that stuff though. I mean, because I'm using Oshpark. My standard setup is like Oshpark and DigiKey because I'm in the States. I mean, it's different everywhere.
Yep.
And I'll go other places if I need to. But
Who should I use for my new board? Because I don't get boards made that often
like
these days, and it's like,
you could do a little bit of PCB Shopper. Isn't that the site?
yeah, PCB Shopper or something like that. I don't know. I just I do like trying out new services. But
You're saying this is like
I don't
low.
want to.
This is low. It's not very important, and like if it messes up. It's not a huge deal.
No, it's not. No, it's not important. But I don't want to wait a month for it. I want
right.
Like I want it in like a week, kind of thing.
You're willing to pay for it because I mean honestly that's what it comes down
yeah,
to.
but it's like $50. It's like or something, which is nothing really.
Right. I've still gotten used to the Oshpark flow that I don't even think I don't even go investigate it. But I know there are some people tell me about that stuff too. They're like you could go elsewhere and get it cheaper and get 10 boards from China and they'll ship them real fast and stuff like that. And it's true. I'm just ain't broke don't fix it.
So how long do you wait for your Oshpark ones?
Most of the time it's about 2 weeks. Depends. I mean, they'll get placed on the panel the same day.
Yep.
They did just announce that's one of the items we have on here. They did just announce that their Swift service got moved up. So yeah, I mean as long as you're on like the two layer panel, and any board share, whatever the most common thing is, if you're on the most common part of a board share, then you'll obviously move up faster. You'll get through the.
Yep.
You don't have to wait.
But most of the cheap PCB factories in China, they board share, but you don't know it. Like,
right, of course,
it's not
yeah.
part of their thing. It's like,
right.
No, here's a quote for the board. It's, $20 or whatever, and plus shipping or whatever, and
right.
you just get it.
Yeah, it's not like the panel, like the fiberglass panel is like, they're like, oh yeah, just, won't charge much. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, because, because this is not a production thing. I just want one made. It's it is a one-off thing, like normally I'll get, like 5 made or something like that, because I know
how big
it'll
is it going to be? I mean, is it going to be big?
Two
layer?
Yeah, it'll be a 2-layer thing. I could put on 1 layer if I really wanted to, but there's no point because 2-layer is standard, right? It's probably about 25 centimeters wide.
Okay.
Let's say 8 inches for you Yanks or something.
I'm literally just putting it into PCB Fab or the shopper right now as we do this.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. 25 by what?
Well, actually, that's
like
what
10?
I've got to do this afternoon is measure the exact thing. Oh, yeah, it'll be maybe 10, let's say 25 centimeters by 10 centimeters.
Designs, quantity. You only need one, right?
We're doing live design work here on
right. It is a great site. If people don't know about it, it's a great site, and highly recommend it. I
just need one.
Yeah. So, and there's reviews and stuff on there too, so that's nice.
How many? What is their list of different suppliers that they cross-check
the ones that popped out for you were Easy EDA, All PCB, Bay Area Circuits, Seed Studios, Shenzhen 2U, Elecro. I mean, like a lot of these are PCB Way, Euro Circuits, like Dirty PCBs. That's Ian's thing.
Yep.
PCB card. That's one that you used to like that, right? PCB card.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I used to. Yeah. They were like the first that came out to do low-cost PCBs via the web. Like they were one of the first, and it was groundbreaking when they first came out.
Yeah.
And then they got swamped. Word, I can remember using them, and then 6-9 months later, word got around on the forums and stuff. There was no YouTube back then. It was no YouTube channels.
Not appreciably,
kind of
right?
thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no. Basically, we didn't exist. Us electronics YouTubers didn't exist. And anyway, so word got around on the forums or whatnot, and then they started to increase their. No, the first thing you notice is that you used to get them real quick. You used to 3 days and it'd ship. They'd say 7 days, but it'd ship in 3. And then there was 5 days, and then it was actually 7. And then occasionally they started to slip actually meeting their timelines. And they came out and said,
They pulled the Yogi Berra, huh? That place is so popular, no one goes there anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the prices started to rise and everything. But I still liked them. It was my familiar service.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. And that is the goal of any company that's doing bottom up type stuff like that. So, yeah.
But there's just so many.
There
out
are. Well, it's great.
It's just.
We're in a golden age for that. Looks like there's even one in Australia. That's interesting. Breadboard Killer. Do you know them?
Yes.
Boy, that's not cheap. Okay. But no, you're going first speed, so.
And I think they're 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. Yes, I've actually met him. I interviewed him at the
Oh, cool.
At the Maker Fair.
Yeah.
Yep. Videos somewhere on my site, but get price default time. Here we go. Well, what do I want? 7 business days, let's say. Ship to.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Australia.
Right. I mean, what is the shipping like just in general for China for you? I mean, like, is it?
Oh, it's generally $30. Yeah, it's generally $30 DHL.
Okay.
Yeah. It's basically like a flat DHL rate. If you want it in a hurry, if you get like an EMS type service, then it can be cheaper. But most PCB suppliers won't use that. They'll use FedEx, UPS, DHL kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I can use my own account, but
it
actually costs more. Yeah.
Like your business account kind of thing, like your number.
I can use my business account. I can just give them my account number, and they can ship using my account. But it generally ends up being more expensive.
I have never gotten to the point. So I have a number as well. I think for both UPS and FedEx, and I've never. It's like it's just like an accounting thing for me because it's like I'm not shipping enough stuff to ever get a discount.
Oh right, no, I've got a proper business. No, I'm doing big dollars with them these days, and but it's still not as cheap. Like I ship from Digico. I thought I'd try this. When I got my new account number, I was thrilled. Hey, I got a DHL Pro business account. And so I had some parts shipped from DigiKey to here, and it was more expensive than what using my own account. And than it was for them just to ship it using their account.
Right,
so,
exactly, because they've got the volume anyways. They get the breaks, right? So.
Hey, I'm up for the cheapest one is $137 plus shipping.
That's the cheapest.
Which is
what?
PCB Way.
Yep. That's the cheapest.
PCB
how many
Way
did you put
is
in?
the cheapest.
How many did you put in? Really?
Oh, sorry, they're going to give me 5. So they're going to give me 5, but I actually put in 1. Some of the others are
$30 each. Yeah.
No, one of them's $400 for one.
Wow. Well, and that's the kind of prices that I'm used to. Like used to. That's what I started with. I remember the first thing I started. I used to do advanced PCB for everything, and it was like the two layer, five of each board special. It's not a terrible special. You can get a lot on the board, but
when I was a boy, You know, it was
Of
like,
course.
you know, a panel was $800.
Yeah.
Right, and it doesn't. That's what it would cost
and
you to get a board
and
made.
that's
There
in
was no panel
$1,800
sharing
too, right? I mean, like you gotta
Right,
really
that was money from 20 years ago. You know,
I said
like,
1800s, but okay,
Okay. Anyway, yeah, the late 80s, early 90s. You know, it was $800 for a panel, and you had to panelize. You know, it doesn't matter how small or insignificant your board was. They would not share them. There was no shared PCB service, right?
Yeah.
So you would pay for the board. So you'd throw your personal designs on. This is what you used to do. You know, so you're getting
Just
a
to take
board
up
made
room
for
and
work,
stuff. Yeah.
and you went, well, I'm paying for this anyway. So you got your own personal designs. Just throw them on the panel.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, and you got all your personal boards made for free, which was kind of nice. So. Yeah. Anyway, PCB Way at 100. It's $102 for the boards for 5. So they're $20 each, and there's DHL shipping is $20. So 137, and that'd be US dollars.
Oh, that is. I was going to ask.
So
yeah, because it's pretty. It's a pretty weird.
Yeah.
Exchange
See,
rate
so for
right
me
now.
to get, if I want that one board, just one board in a week, 7 business day. That's business days, so like week and a half plus shipping.
See, yours is showing different than mine because maybe you put in
Really?
something else I didn't
Okay.
see. Yeah. So.
I just put 25 by 10 centimeters, 2 layers, least expensive, cheapest, blah, blah. I just left all the defaults there.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Includes stencil, no, not required.
Oh, maybe
no,
it's just
number
because of the ship
designs.
too. That's probably what it was. I bet if I changed this.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Ship to Australia. But still, anyway.
Ship to
did
Austria,
you put in
yep,
7
exactly.
business days? Did you put 7 business days?
No, I didn't. So.
There you go. That's why. Look, if I bump it up to 15 business days, right?
Oh, I see. So I'm looking at it based on the shipping time, but that's actually after the processing then, right?
Yeah, right.
Like airmail
so
would
if I want to wait 15 business days, easy EDA in China is the cheapest at $33 for 5 boards.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, no, $33 for 5 boards plus $6.90 express. It's still $81 US.
Yeah, that's true.
So I only need one of these. So you got to remember, that's like
Right.
And then Seed Studio, that they're $55 for 5 boards plus $11 postage. Anyway.
Yeah. I actually found out that.
So I'm up for at least $100 or $150 just to get this one board made.
Well, and so I saw on here there's a tab now too for assembly, but I didn't realize that there's a bunch of local companies around here that are bundling, and actually that workspace I'm working out of, MHub, they have an on-site. I've been posting pictures of the equipment there, but they have an on-site pick and place run by an outside company called Twisted Traces, and they're doing the same thing with like a bundled assembly, so you can get like 1 or 2 boards on a panel, and what it'll be is like they're going to use like the open parts library, so you can just design in those parts, and then before I was talking to Brian, the guy that runs it, he said before they actually put the whole thing through the oven, they'll let people come in and hand place. So the solder paste will be there, but then there's a manual pick and place, so you can like do.
Oh, right. Okay, so you can
you can go and put your special parts on that wouldn't necessarily be on the machine.
sit down and do it yourself, and then you go feed it in the oven because you can't leave it there. You've got to
They might actually run the whole thing through again. I'm actually not sure how that works, but like because like the panel, if it's a panelized, right, if it's got 6 different designs on it, you have to wait for everybody to finish placing their parts. That could be detrimental, but
well, solder paste has a limited. Once you take it out and apply it to the board, you've got to put it in the oven within like 4 hours.
Yeah.
You can't just leave it lying around for a couple of days.
Right, because it'll evaporate just because it's got
on
like VOC type.
Yeah, thingy, my bulb's in it.
Right, yeah, something chemicals.
Yeah.
So, but there'll be something like that in it, and I guarantee there are bundled services like that. I had never seen them, so I'm excited about that.
Anyway, so the reason that the people might be going, oh, Dave, you can get this board cheaper, blah blah blah. The problem here is size, okay?
Right. Yep.
25 centimeters by 10 centimeters is a largish board. Most people don't get, but when you're talking, most people are, like in the hobby sort of area, they're just dicking around with little Arduino sized boards. And you can get one at Dirty PCBs for $5 or something, right?
Yeah.
But, when you pay for board area.
Right. Well, I mean, even so going back to Oshpark, right? So that'd be what if it's a 2-layer. that's 3x10 effectively, right? Like almost 3x10 in inches, and then that's 30 square inches times 5. That'd be $50 a board. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're right. So that size versus the size trade-off is pretty large. So, but for yours is big just because of the fitting in the case that you have, or the voltage spacing.
Yeah, it has to fit the object. Yeah, I'm using it as it's mounting all these 8 segments on there. So it has to be X wide to mount all these things on. So
yeah, well, it's still it's a material thing, and you gotta.
People will go, oh, make your own. Oh yeah, I probably could.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe I could make my.
But it is high voltage too, so that's maybe less reason to mess around with that.
That doesn't matter. It's only 180 volts. She'll be right.
Okay. Good luck, buddy. And that was the last we ever heard of Dave.
Well, I could do it myself, just as because I haven't made my own boards for years. I could dig out my old UV boxer. I can just shove it out in the sun. It's
Yeah.
It's Australia and it's summertime.
That's true. Right. The board might melt, but
And I could maybe do that. Maybe I could, make that as a process instead of, So maybe I'll try and get it on a single-sided.
Yeah,
I'll do my best. Add a few links because, I don't want to be making my own. Well, then I could make it into a video, or how to make your own double-sided board. You've got to align it's... it's not that much extra work. It's just fussy, So, especially if you want to do the vias and, whatnot. So.
Right. Well,
I don't miss those days of making my own boards.
I can't imagine
really
you would. I mean, that's even at $80. I mean, you'll spend more in your time, right? If that's that takes more than an hour.
No, exactly. So that's. But if I can make a video out of it, then hey,
Sure.
That's a reason to do it. But no,
right. But we're now talking about the scourge of being a video blogger, right? You think you can't do anything without having a
turn
camera
everything
on.
into content.
Yeah, right. That's the downside.
It is.
Yeah. I've been building a new board. Actually, I got inspired by a student, but I talked last time about that header that I've been using, and some people asked about it. There was a video last time in the show notes from that, so a 2 shows ago. But I've been thinking about it, and I've been thinking about doing some like industrial style boxes, and I've been looking at RS-485, which I think you said you've used in the past, right?
Yeah, I've used RS-485.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was wondering, and I asked on Twitter as well, but like, what do you do for cabling for that?
I've used custom cabling before. It's gone through the couple of times I've done it. It's gone through the product under test. Yeah.
You're saying that it like actually plugged into the the product
right that we were testing and popped out the other end of the product 150 meters down the line. Yeah.
Gotcha. Right. So the product actually had RS-485 on it as well.
No. The product had wiring, and we were simply talking to the other end of it.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
it's a very product specific thing.
Okay.
So
and that's kind of what there was a lot of answers, and I do appreciate that's what I like about Twitter, actually, like putting those kind of questions out and just kind of getting a range of answers. But everyone pretty much landed between like single pair. Shielded if you can.
Twisted pair, shielded.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And you can get that.
It doesn't have to be shielded, but.
Yeah, and shield is just nice, but you don't have to, and then you ground one end or whatever. And I was really hoping that Mike Harrison would eventually respond, and he did. Because I know he does RS-485 for a lot of his lighting stuff.
Yeah.
And if people don't know, too, I remember the first time I heard about it, I'm like, well, why would you use that over RS-232? And it's just.
Dude, it's
better. It's just way better. It's differential. It's more
differential.
More voltage tolerant usually.
Yep.
It digs so the differential, you can dig the signal out better. I think it's higher speed. Is that right?
Oh God! Now you're stretching my memory.
Well, so the things I know about it is that you can go a very long distance. Basically, it's just speed is inversely proportional to distance, right? So the distance goes up, the speed has to go down. But most times when you're even using that kind of stuff,
okay. Yeah.
Just because there's more capacitance in the cables and stuff like that.
There's more capacitance on the line, yep. That determines the slew rate you can slew at.
Yeah. And
slew rate you can slew at. That doesn't make sense. Everyone knows what I mean.
It's slewy, yeah. call up Slew John B. Sorry. So what I landed on, though, and what a couple of people suggested, what I was thinking about is that I think I'm going to do Cat 5. And that's another thing that I got in my my little box of goodies from DigiKey. I got some header, or some RJ45 headers, and then I'll just
heaps of people do that.
Yeah. So.
RJ45. That's very common. A lot of the products I tear down will use RJ45 connectors for RS232 comms between units.
Oh yeah, okay. I remember Keithley used to have
RS485.
Some kind of I always get confused because it was RJ45, and you just kind of get used to thinking Ethernet.
And Ethernet, where it's not. No, I've used RJ45 a lot in custom stuff, and it ain't Ethernet.
Right, right. You can try it to be Ethernet. It's
because it's standard. It's cheap. You can buy the cables off the shelf. They're already terminated. It works.
And even
the cables
are
super high quality. They're characterized. They're
right. Yep. Well, they said people were saying online or on Twitter rather, that they don't go too far. Right, they don't try and push that too far, but I'm really not going too far. It's more about just the volume. But the number one thing, you can easily
go 100 meters with RS485 over or a 422 over Ethernet cable.
Yeah. That would be the absolute max I would probably do anyways. No. I'm just interested in this stuff just to try it out and So I don't know. It's interesting.
Sweet.
Cabling. All that stuff. But that was the main thing I was going to say is my number one requirement was I'm not making a goddamn cable. I do not make custom cables anymore.
And
it's interesting when I talk to people that are doing products, they're like, well, and eventually we'll just make a custom cable, and then like these alarm bells are like going off in my head. I'm like, like you do not want to do that. And almost, I can't think of a single situation where it's not worth the engineering effort to try and do like board to board. Or condense it all to a single board or anything like that. Like, I mean, you do a lot of teardowns. Anything with cabling in it, that increases the cost and complexity, right?
Of course. Yeah, it does.
And it's normal in a lot of products, but that's just because they're trying to pack so much crap in there that getting it all into a single board is unreliable or almost impossible.
So you've just got a single point-to-point app? You don't have like a multi-drop configuration or anything?
I think I might do multi-drop. You mean like a daisy chain type thing?
They're not daisy chain. They're all on the bus, all in parallel kind of thing.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you could have two connectors on one board, and then, like each drop could pass the signal along to the next thing, right?
Yeah, well, if you want to redrive it. But generally...
I don't think so. So if you think about, so if you have a master on one end, right, and then and that is cabled now to device number 2, and device number 2 has an input port and an output port. It has the resistor that is there, right, because you need the... Oh, yeah, no,
it depends whether or not you're sending a signal to one unit and then that signal is going to reprocess
it would still be a bus, 100%. It would still be a bus, right? So you'd have multiple... Right. All those signals would be on... I think if this is right, maybe this is good to talk about, but as far as I know, they would all be on this. They would have the same potential on the input connector and the output connector, right? Because you'd want to be able to pass it down the line. If people don't know about the protocol as well, it's like basically it's kind of similar to it's very similar to CAN bus, right? Where it's everybody's sitting in the line, or almost kind of like I2C as well.
Well, no. But RS485 and 422 is not a protocol; it's a physical layer.
Right, it's a physical layer.
It's a physical layer. You have to implement your own protocol.
Right, but for me, it would just be very simple. I mean, like it would not be anything fancy, So,
well, it depends. Like if you've got one transmitter and just a bunch of receivers, then it's easy. But when you've got multiple devices that want to talk on the bus, you've got to have collision avoidance and everything else, right?
No, this would be very simple for me. It would be one master, multiple slave kind of thing. So
okay, right. So the slaves don't even transmit back.
Only if they're asked to, you know what I mean? Like you could send...
Oh, okay,
yeah,
right.
So you
and then in that case, you have an address on each one. The easiest way to do it is you have an address and you go,
and another thing that I got in my kit for the first time in a long time I've ordered was dip switches. And that was another thing I wanted to talk about.
Set the address manually. I like dips. I'm a dip switch fan.
Yeah?
I like switches.
They are not cheap, man. They are,
they're not at all. Yeah. I know. Big bomb item cost, especially if you get the decent quality ones.
Yeah, and I don't really know how to judge that. I mean, like, I get like the piano. They call them piano keys, so they kind of flip up or down.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I don't know if that would be good. I'm just doing it as a first thing. I mean, you could always do it with. That was the thing I wanted to kind of mention on here too. Is like you can do it with what? You can do it with like selectively populated resistors, stuff like that. You could. You could have a unique ID chip, but then you have to do some kind of discovery of each device that's out in the market.
And then you've got to program each board separately. Yeah. Or a lot of the time you can put in, what I've done in the past also is to put in an ID chip that's already pre-programmed with a random ID. You used to be able to
like
buy
Dallas
these
makes
from
those,
Maxim.
right?
Yeah, Dallas /
the
Maxim.
one wire.
These ID chips, we use those extensively in our products. They come
and they're great.
Factory laser program with a random.
Right.
No two chips of the same code.
Right. So they're like 24-bit chips, and they'll guarantee that you'll never see the same number twice or something.
But then you've still got to identify that. You've got to read it back, and then
unit ABC 123 is different than ABC 124, but you have to tell it, well, you want to talk to 124 right instead. And that gets a little bit more complicated. So
we use those at Altium as well. Every board had a one-wire ID chip on it.
Really? That's interesting.
So, every board, because the Altium hardware board was like a modular plug-in thing, and that's how we identify when you plugged in a board. Every board manufactured had a Dallas one-wire ID chip on it.
And like label each board then and say how did it know that it was a FPGA board versus like a sensor board?
We actually had a test jig to program them. So we're at the factory, we would after the board's manufactured, we plug it in the programming jig and we'd tell it. And the ID chip also had some E2 prom in it as well, right? So not only did it have its own unique serial number for each chip, but also had that E2 prom ID, only like 10 bytes or something. It wasn't much, right? But it was enough to put like a product ID code in there. So we would put in the ID code, the product number for that board. So that you plugged in, okay, it's a PB4. We know that's a soundboard. So the system read that code out and knew that was a soundboard, and then you could put in multiple ones because it could identify based on the serial number. So,
that's interesting. So were there ever issues with that though, or no?
No, it was a nice system, and it was a one-wire bus, so you could just whack them all in parallel, and it would, read all these when it started up. When it started up, it'd read and identify all the boards. So it was sweet. So it was easy to implement on the PCB side of things as well, because you just needed a single pin, and that just paralleled across all your boards, all of your expansion connectors, everything else. So worked well.
That's pretty cool. I don't know. It's added cost, of course, and complexity, but that is definitely an issue that I'm sure listeners have had to deal with too, right? I mean,
these chips were 50 cents a pop, So it adds to the BOM cost. Yeah. Or whatever, but no, it's cool. It was just, I liked them. I was a bit of a fanboy of those chips.
Yeah, no, they're great. I mean, that's
chip of the week.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I can't remember Dallas DS24, 2404, DS20. I'm gonna see if I remember.
Off the old.
Here we go.
The crusty parts of the brain, huh?
No, that's the dual port memory plus 24. Hang on. No, that's a real time clock. No, I'm getting confused. No.
Oh, he's getting old, folks. DS 2401.
2401. There you go.
You're pretty close, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. That's cool.
And in fact, I think there's several in that series. So 240 whatever.
Yeah.
So oh great.
Cool.
Hang on, I need to know how much E2 prom it's got in it now.
Oh, you mean like you think you could like write other stuff into it, like?
Yeah. That's what we did. That's what I was talking about. We would write the product ID in there. We would write the model number so you could identify the difference between an FPGA board and a peripheral board.
I thought you were storing it on a different. I'm sorry. I thought you meant you were storing it on a different.
Same. No, that's what was great about this chip. Not only does it have a built-in unique 64-bit registration number.
Yeah.
But it's got how much? E2 prom. Come on. Anyway,
that might be worth. Wait, sorry. Are you saying that you would program this chip on the?
Yes.
You would program the chip separate from the device then, as well, or you would program the device.
We would solder it on the board first.
Okay, you would.
So we get our boards manufactured and then assembled, and then we would plug the board, because it had like an expansion connector. So we'd plug it into a test jig, and then we'd actually program all those boards. We had like a big array of them. You could plug them all in and program them.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Huh. Well, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, like I learned all this stuff in industry. I never really heard about this kind of stuff in school or anywhere else. I mean, I don't know.
Of course you're not. There's an infinite number of chip solutions out there that, of course, you would never learn about.
No, I mean, like, even just like the method, like the fact that you need, like, okay, I'm on a bus, I need a unique ID, that kind of stuff, like that kind of just general, like. So now, I mean, whenever I think about a bus now, it's like, I mean, I guess people learn that with their doing like I2C type stuff as well. You need to have unique addresses for each part that you're talking to, but it's just, something different.
It's only when you need something, that's when you go out and search and you find.
That's right.
All these cool things and different ways to do it. There's more than one way to skin this cat.
Yeah. Well, I had I was looking through some of the subreddits, but then also I was actually advising a college kid from my alma mater, and they're kind of all asking the same thing. I don't think we're quite into the panic season yet, but I'm sure we're getting there.
Panic season?
Well, like their friends are. I don't know. My friends all got jobs before I did, so I was panicked about now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right.
I guess.
So what? All the good ones are going to be taken.
Yeah. Well, like a lot of the superstars that I knew all had job offers before Christmas break, right? My last year. So yeah, I guess I was kind of freaking out by now. But don't freak out. We're going to help you out here. So I was thinking about, but like the common question is just like, oh, well, what could I be doing, right? And that's kind of the question, and some of the email that I was kind of writing back to this guy as well, and stuff like that. So I kind of thought about like, what would it be? What should an EE who's looking to get a job by May of 18 months from the point of thinking about it, right? So like Christmas break of junior year, what should an EE be doing, right, in order to be getting that job, so that they're going to their graduation parties and getting drunk without any cares in the world?
Well, you've got to have a project you've done.
Exactly, right. That's
it.
That's number one, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say that, documenting it online, like a personal portfolio site, stuff like that, that's all good too. And that's what I was telling the student too about, like, I saw the resume, I saw the cover letter, all that stuff, but I asked, where's the portfolio? How do I find your actual work? And, you could do that a lot of places. So, websites too. I think it's good to have a personal website, but.
You don't necessarily have to have it.
No.
You just take your project along to.
That's true too. Yeah.
The interview, but then again, how can people see your stuff at the resume stage before you get to the interview, right? So,
well, and I was talking to a very successful engineer as well, and they were mentioning that they got their job at this very interesting place because of a side project, right? And that was interesting too, right? Of like,
yep,
it happens every single day, right? I mean, like it's always. It doesn't have to necessarily even be related.
Yep.
So yeah. So other things I was thinking though as well is like starting to go to like meetup groups and network. That is depending on if you want to live where you are, right? You said you always talk about Australia. You guys kind of stick around where you grew up usually, but that's not necessarily the case. But definitely finding meetup groups.
No, but that's the vast majority of people do that here in Australia.
Right,
yep.
And just
if you were born in Sydney, you go to uni in Sydney. If you're born in Western Sydney, you probably go to Western Sydney University. It just
Gotcha. Yeah, and so
it's a thing here.
And then wherever you want to end up living afterwards or look for a job, like it's good to, it's tough, right? I mean, it's tough to the whole networking piece, but especially if you're not on site, but you're gonna find out about the coolest, like least well-known jobs if you're actually there. So. If you're looking to move somewhere, definitely get there, crash on a friend's couch, get to some meetups, like talk to people, and then go back home and start sending them links to your portfolio and stuff like that. I'd think, and of course bring your stuff to the meetups.
But of course, just have a project you've done and finished, complete. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yeah. Well, and that's
all we ask. It's not much.
Right. And it can start. I mean, like, it's like if you're not even sure where to start, just start. Honestly, I was telling someone the other day that like, bold port stuff, right? Like just get into the flow of just be soldering kits, and like just use it as your relaxation type thing, just to get building stuff, right? It's just kind of that muscle you got to keep working and keep pushing stuff out, and then eventually they'll get more complex. It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to wait for that groundbreaking idea. You just have to build something, like you're saying, because
you're pushing for a segue here, aren't you?
Not, but we could mention that, I guess.
The two things you mentioned, meetups and Boldport, and there's a Boldport electronics meetup in London.
Dave, I can't even help it when I do a segue like that. I'm just I consider the whole world when I start talking.
I ruined the surprise, did I?
Well, that's fine. Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sarah is doing a meetup in London. So that'll be good. I don't know what else to say there.
That's it. That's all we need to say.
Right. I will
news.
say Dave still hasn't done a meetup. Maybe that's something to say.
No, I still haven't done one.
Right. I'm going to Australia eventually, so eventually Dave will be found at a meetup. It's just he just won't have planned it. So yeah.
No, I won't have. Well, I'm hopefully, is it next week that I'm going to meet?
I don't know.
Someone who we've had on recently.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember when he was coming up. So.
It's in my calendar somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Anyway, they're coming to Australia. I won't say who it is. Follow my Twitter and I'll post a selfie with them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's the plan.
So any other aspiring EE by junior year things? Anything else you would think other than a project?
No, just do a project. No, you can...
I would say, I would put an asterisk on that, though. I would put it outside of your senior project as well, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, of course. Like, no, it has to be of your own... Has to be off your own bat, as we say here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep. Actually, someone else wrote... I didn't even realize. Someone else wrote in on the subreddit. But also, they said, robotics team, ham radio club, tutoring, undergrad research... Yeah, those things are all good. And the thing I would point out too, is that like I'm saying 18 months out, but if you're 2 months out, right, which some people would be right now, it doesn't matter. Start right now too. If you've been graduated for 2 years, it doesn't matter. Just go, like Dave's saying, just go build something, and that's
you could get a project done in 2 months.
Oh yeah, right.
Yep.
So,
but it has to be your original. Like maybe just take an existing design. Modify it.
Sure.
If you're that short of time,
right.
Then
or if you're just uncomfortable, just like I said, just build something or follow. Yeah, like rebuild something else, like modify, like you're saying. Yeah. Like get some kits. Just
that's the hardware equivalent of fake it till you make it.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Is to take somebody else's complex looking design. Yeah. If they're open source, right? You got all the PCB files, you got the schematics, everything else. Modify it. Add a few little bells and whistles yourself. Don't copy it. Right, because that's cheating. You might get found out, right? But make a few changes yourself.
Even the act of building
you could,
it, but,
right? The act of building it can be things. So you can. But what I'm saying is
just be prepared to talk about what you did versus what you followed along.
Exactly. As long as you can talk the talk.
Yeah. I agree with that.
People will ask you if you bring something
right.
in.
Yes, that's correct.
People will ask you questions about it. They won't go, "Oh, that's nice."
Right.
Well, maybe the
right, but if they do that, you don't want to work
there. No, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So hey, you can do that, and the fact is you can get a much more complex design done in much shorter time. If you started your own, software-defined radio from scratch, you're not going to get it done in 2 months,
lay out
right?
that 600 pin BGA FPGA, right?
No, that's right.
Right. Maybe start with a plug-in board for like a Pipulio or whatever the other, one of those digital boards or something. Yeah. So. Yep.
I mean, and preferably something where you've laid out your own board. I don't want to see... Oh, it's better than nothing, right? If you bring like an Arduino hooked up with wires hanging off into something else,
if you made a shield, right? I mean, that's cool. If you made the shield, that's good.
No, if you made the shield and everything else, but yeah.
I don't know, like, or if you made like if you... did a bunch of 7.4 series logic or something like that on a breadboard. That's interesting too.
But I would prefer to see an integrated solution.
Sure, right.
Rather than just an add-on board on top of it.
Yeah, the more snazzy it is, the better. The more heads will turn, I think. So.
Yep.
And good luck to everybody out there. It's a slog. Oh, I don't miss that at all. If you something's better than nothing. So if you get a job, it's not your last job. You can always try and move later, but try and stay in the industry you want to be in.
Yep.
if you can.
All right.
All right.
What else have we got this week? We've got, you want to talk about yet another 3D printer on Kickstarter that's failed?
I don't really want to.
No?
We can. I don't really want to.
The Tico, $3 million bucks.
Yeah,
it's the same classic story. They actually did deliver some.
Yeah.
They had like 60,000 backers or something. I don't know, 14,000 backers.
I mean, $3 million's a lot to raise, I got to say.
That's a lot. They got a lot of money, right? $3 million bucks, and they basically, they delivered. I think they delivered about 4,000 units, but they went pretty dodgy, right? But at least they delivered something. But they spent all their money up front buying all these bulk parts. And that was, they said that was one of the biggest mistakes they make, is when they got the money, they went, oh yeah, we're pretty cocky and confident that we're purchasing power, our design's good enough, let's go buy all these bulk items. And they ordered 16,000 sets of almost every component, and they only ever shipped 4,000.
Right.
And so that's a lot of, cash just sitting there. That's a lot of, you can't use it. You can't pay people's wages. Here, have some components.
Right. I was watching
each month.
This 2000 ESP 8266 for MagFest is another link that they put on there. That was
what's MagFest?
It was like music, art, and games fest. So it basically was like a Blinky badge, but it was for like an outside conference type thing. And so it's Charles Lohr. It was a really good video. I mean, it was interesting, kind of like all this stuff, but they mentioned like same kind of thing where they said like 15,000 like push buttons sitting on a desk somewhere in China, where the footprint was wrong, and it was like, just it's just short timeline kind of stuff, like that's nightmares.
Oh goodness!
But the badge looked really cool, and they did a cool video where they put it like out on the lawn and did like a Wi-Fi signal strength thing. So very cool.
Anyway, let that be a lesson to you. The other lesson to come from this one is that. Shall I try and quote them here? They basically said that they thought that they could fix their hardware problems in software.
Just add more bits, Dave. Come on, man. Did they say how? Like what? Like quote unquote calibration?
It's a 3D printer. No, they didn't really say how, but like it's a 3D printer, right? So belts and motors move, and you get slippage, and you get other things, right? So you can potentially fix some of that in software by either driving it slower, driving it more carefully. I don't know, whatever, right?
Averaging is the answer.
Yeah. And they went, that helped, but not enough to make it a real polished product. And
Right.
So they jumped into it. So they were the two big lessons, and they basically
man, there's some things you just can't get around like that. I mean, like I know that but like mechanical tolerances, stuff like that, like at a certain point you're gonna run into physics, like
right.
Like repeatability is like such an important, especially in mechanical processes like that. It's such an important thing, and it's like you could do something 6 times and you could try and average it out, but unless you have, then you need like some kind of like outside thing to monitor. Like you need like an encoder wheel then, right? If you say you're doing say you have a servo that's not very...
You need feedback. You need
you need some kind of
feedback.
Right. Yeah. Something. And it's like that just increases complexity and lowers the speed.
It's an entirely different design then,
And it's like...
And the 3D printer, though, is the classic example of where you can build your prototype and you can get a false sense of completion. You build your prototype, you might even build 5 of them, all right?
Right.
And they print out and everything, and you're so excited by the fact that it worked that you miss look, the layers aren't, this layer peeled off, that's just we can just tweak that in software, we'll just
Wait, so it was like that though?
Later,
it wasn't like sourcing stuff? I always figure sourcing stuff is another thing that's like, let's see.
Well, it is, but I'm just using this as an example, a classic case where the devil is in the detail of a polished product.
Right.
It's not something you can just fob off, or go, we can fix that later or something like that. It really has to be solidly nailed down from the get-go before you push that order button, whereas a lot of electronics is different to that. Right? So...
$3 million.
If you whack an FPGA in there, okay, right, you can fix things in VHDL later, right, kind of thing.
Yeah.
right?
Right,
There's a lot you can do.
Right, but then you also have to hope that your users can change the firmware.
Right.
Ooh, yee.
Yep.
Yeah. So wait, this was This is a
I've got
$180
that.
printer though. 180.
Yeah, something. What was it?
Okay, so this was already a foregone conclusion. This was gonna fail.
Oh yeah, no, we've talked about that before.
Yeah, many times.
That
Right.
many times
Yeah.
where you can't physically make a product for that.
Right.
You just can't do it.
And ship it and support your
And
staff and
Do
everything
it.
else.
Yeah,
right?
it was
Yeah.
never going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was $180 3D printer, and
Ugh. God.
whoever did that article years ago that we talked about by saying you can't do a
Yeah, I
sub
remember
$300
that, yeah, right.
3D printer, and they were like, and they went through the math of why you can't, and
Oh,
they're bang
no.
on.
They're from Niagara Falls,
Like-
New York. Buffalonian fail. Although I don't know if they call themselves Buffalonians. Yeah.
Anyway, they thought they could get around all those limitations by simplifying. It's all one big 3D extruded case, and it's like a triangle shape. So they thought they had solved the problem of cheap printers, and what?
Well, valiant try.
Devil's in the detail. They had
16,000
a good
people made the
go,
wrong decision.
Anyway,
I mean, on the other hand,
we
they-
may have even called this one back when it first came out.
probably.
We
Yeah,
may have
whatever.
even said it would fail.
Whatever. Yeah. Another one bites the dust.
Dust,
Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. Yeah.
Can we talk about another Kickstarter? Which is interesting. It's got 12 days to go.
Which one?
But I don't know, the Chip Easy, the electronics component organizer.
Oh,
did
that
you
thing
add that
looked
to the list?
ridiculous. Yeah, I was
It
not a
was-
huge fan of that.
I was not a huge fan of it, but they've raised 12 grand of their 20 grand goal. It's like it looks like a regular component cabinet, right? But each drawer is motorized.
It's just
Right?
really,
And
really complex
has a
for what it
LED
is.
and actually has a LED next to each drawer which
Yeah.
can flash, and then it hooks up. It must hook up to a PC. I believe it must hook up to a PC.
Yeah, it does, 'cause there's a
which then
software
you
layer too.
program,
Right.
Yeah, and then you program what your parts go in each bin for like a production kind of environment, and I can't think of a more narrow niche.
Exactly. Right. This is
Right.
this actually, okay, here's the idea. Something like this, it seems like it actually is well done. It is manufactured, all that other stuff.
No, I think it's well done.
It's
but
just it's just not needed, right? I mean, like
it's a cool product looking for a market.
Exactly, right. And if they took this idea and they shopped, like
Yeah.
if you did this for, and maybe this already exists for industrial markets. Like,
no,
like
it
a tool
does. I've
case
used
and
these
stuff like
systems
that.
before.
Oh, okay,
I've
okay.
used. We used to use these. Big companies use these systems when you got thousands of parts and components, and you would have a component store, and they would have these automated things, tray and software behind it. So then I want this part. So you go down to the store. This is before the days of the internet. You walk down to the store. You'd fill out your slip. That I want, an extra one of these chips because, I'm repairing some military board, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they go away, and 10 minutes later, they come back and they put it into the system. It rolls the big, huge, big rollers with all the bins in it, so it automatically goes to the right bin and then pops it out. And
See, I still
bingo,
don't think
they
that
hand
that's.
you your chip.
I mean, that's still that's just you had more money to put towards that. I still don't think that's needed.
Oh, yeah, no,
you know what I
of
mean?
course.
Like at a certain point, there is some balance point of like having some guy minding the
course.
store and knowing that
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, well, it's in. What
It's
I do
in
is
that one over
I go
there,
I go to bin 42E and I mark down that I'm selling Dave one of these. It's like, oh, paper, okay.
Or you just sort them into categories. You have a whole, stand full of ones that just have chips, a whole stand full of ones that just have passives,
Right,
and like you can organize, and you just look through. You have them in sequential order of value or something, It's like,
Right.
yeah, this is,
Well,
yeah.
So there is, and I'm sure that it could, like find a market or something. But I don't think I will never have this in my lab. I know that. That's what I'm really getting at.
I cannot see where their market is. It's so narrow that I can sell them selling a few, and well, they've got 42 backers. You know, I'm not sure how much this thing is. It's like it's 369 early bird, $400.
Yeah.
So you've got to be willing to pay $400 for a 40 drawer
exactly
parts cabinet that costs $20.
I forgot that I commented on this. I said I could buy a lot of binders for $400, right? I mean, like I could buy a lot of raw materials and organization methods.
Yeah, from China on eBay now, you just buy all these kits of parts, you know, and they already come pre-labeled, pre-sorted, and
so
you know. Granted, it's a very neat solution, but it's just
and there's other people doing this kind of thing too. Like what's it called? It's called Parts something, because it's very similar to Parts.io. It's partsbox.io, I think, or something like that. But it was basically like, you know, there's been other stuff like that. That inventory management for the lab, right? So just I want to know that when I've built 30 of the boards that I'm used to building, you know, it's like an MRP system, right? And I'm now short, or I've 5 resistors away of being out of 0 ohm resistors or whatever it is, right? That's it. Yeah, partsbox.io. That's the one. And so it's
to automatically order them for you,
right?
You know?
And
like I thought this thing has the potential to automatically order things for you,
but you can do that just with software, right? I mean, either way, if you're scanning in, you know, you can do it with like the labels from DigiKey or anyone else, right? Where you're just like, oh, you're about to run out of component, whatever.
Well, one of the other problems with this is just the fiddliness of it. Like each drawer has like 40 drawers in it. Sorry, it actually has like 500 or something. But you know, they're little like 1 inch by 1 inch cube slots where you're supposed to put your SMD parts, right? So you're supposed to take your SMD parts off the tape and put them in here. I mean, maybe you can reconfigure the drawers. I'm not sure, but you know, like that's just not how you want to do it.
Right. Well, and I think that all this stuff, it's just like when you get to the point where you actually do need something like this, the scale is going to be so much more, right? There's a lot of overhead for these any of these systems. There's a lot of overhead.
Oh, there's always overhead. So there's that organization.
Exactly. That
any form of organization has overhead.
That's right. Exactly right. Yep. So, yeah. Well, I hope that,
as evidenced by the guy who did the video. You know that he had that component collection that I went to see once.
Yes, that's right. Oh man, that was a lot of parts.
that was incredible.
Right,
that was incredible, and he had it all on a spreadsheet. He had this huge, massive master spreadsheet.
Did you ever find out how much he was building with that stuff? I mean, like that's the other thing. Like people that
No, he did actually contact me.
Oh, he did?
He saw the video and he contacted me, and I didn't hear back from him. So I think he wanted to tell me the history of it or something. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a certain thing is like people sometimes optimize for the system, like they like building the system in that case, right? Great,
right? Oh yeah, no, he just enjoyed building the system, and hey, great, more power to him. Right. You know, it was fantastic, right? Then that was his hobby.
Yeah.
That was, you know, exactly the fact that I think he was in the parts business or something as well, you know, selling like parts for obsolete gear and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, so I'm sure it helped in that respect, but that was just his hobby, you know, to do that. So,
Yep.
That's fine. Anyway, like at what point, like, you know, I can imagine coming up with this Kickstarter idea, right? But at what point do you call it quits? You know, do you go, like we talked about with this last week with Bunny, right? How he came up with this idea for the, you know, the keyboard that does the encryption keyboard, right? And he worked on it for months and months full time. And then he finally reached the point where he went, no, I have to say this is not going to work. This is not going to sell. It's not going to, no one's going to buy this. And I have to just, you know, give up on it. And I know it's hard giving up on your baby, but sometimes it's like, you know.
Notice we haven't heard anything about Dave's kids recently. So he's probably done the same thing with his children. So. Don't give up on your kids, Dave. That's not cool.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is tough. I mean,
have people out there given up on a project like Bunny did? You know, worked on it forever, 6 months, and just given up and went, nah. You know. Yeah. I've
done it.
Done quite a few. You know. Yeah. And well, there's a good lot of mine that just I lost interest, but others, no, I've deliberately said, no, this isn't going to work, and I just
a clean break's good. I think it's better than like, I'll get back to it someday. It's like, no, it's done. Yeah. Right? Maybe I'll cannibalize some of the pieces for it, but yeah. That's tough too. I mean, especially with all this stuff where there's money involved and, there's funding and whatever.
Well, I don't know how many people are involved in this and what, if it's a startup or what, or, but I don't know. Like hats off to them. They've produced what looks like a nice, good looking product, right? But just that has almost no market. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the unfortunate thing. So, yep. So on one hand, I'm torn. I don't want to. I'm not trying to lay into them, right? It's just.
Well, what we're saying is we don't want this. Example. This isn't for us. So that's what we know.
No, it's not. And based on my experience, I can't see how many people would want it. Yeah. But I could be wrong. I'd love to be proven wrong. And this thing sells like hotcakes, and it solves. Everyone's problems. But yeah. So I'm torn between. Even not saying, just ignoring these and not saying anything, or using it as an example to show people how, you can just you can have the blinkers on and go down and think, oh, this is a great product, this is a great product, this is a great product, and if I build it, they will come. Sometimes they won't come.
Right. Okay, well, I could talk about...
How do you know that? I mean, for me, it's based on my...
Well, actually, I was going to mention that. There is a book that I've been reading...
Decades and decades in the business, right?
Actually, it was not that I was going to say, is that there's a book called Content Incorporate, or Inc., Content Inc.
You've always got a book recommendation.
I always get a book, I know. It's always like a marketing, pukey business book, too. This one's pretty bad.
Right.
But basically, the idea is you build the, let's use Mr. Jones here as a case study, right? You build the audience first, which is always the hard part. And then eventually, what the audience wants pops out, right? That's kind of like kind of the modern thing. It's not the only way to do it. It's not the best way to do it necessarily, but it is a if you can do that and build the audience and get the people to talk back and be like, well, what we really need is the blank 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 blank, right? That's hard to do, right? I mean, or that's super valuable.
And everyone wants a different blank blank blank.
Right. You still have to distill that down to whatever. But,
you do. Yep.
I think it's an interesting idea. I mean, I think it is a very contemporary idea because, there's a lot of stuff out there, right?
Yep.
So.
Well, and I've been thinking about this recently with my, debunking videos,
which I'm not a huge fan of, I gotta say.
Well, okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, you can, after I finish this, you can tell us why.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And they have traditionally been one of my most popular videos. The batterizer, the solar roads, everything else. Right? They've been incredibly popular. But some of them aren't. And it's so it's not that, I do a debunking video, it's going to be popular. Some of them are not popular. And it's sort of hard to tell which ones are and aren't, or will and will not be. Yeah. So it's there's people out there going, I didn't like this one.
Right.
Or whatever. Okay, but I liked the previous two you did. Well, what's changed? It's just the subject matter I'm talking about.
I mean, it could be the inkling of whether, if something looks like, if you hear something enough times, you're like, all these people are talking about it, and then it makes you angry because you don't think it's going to work, and then someone verifies that, right? They're validating
and
your
some people have said,
inkling.
no, this was just a waste of everyone's time. It's obviously bunk. Why did you even bother doing a video on this? Okay, right. Because I found it interesting.
That's what I always say. Why did you even bother, Dave?
Right.
But.
Okay, so why don't you like my debunking videos?
Oh, I like when you build stuff. I like building and, looking inside stuff.
Right.
Debunking just feels like, I don't know. I don't really care about it. That's just personal. It's literally just personal taste.
Fruit? Is it like...
Huh? No.
Is it because you don't like seeing people called out, or you think it's a waste of my time?
No, it's a waste of my time.
Right,
I don't care about your time.
That you don't watch,
Yeah, exactly.
It's clearly in the title,
I didn't say that. I'm just saying that's why I don't like them. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's not that I don't like you. I like you as a person, Dave. Don't worry about that. I've been talking to you for friggin' 7 years.
Yeah. You get less for murder.
I know, right. Like, come down to Australia, punch you right in the nose, and then just leave. Yeah.
Our former co-host gave me a hug.
Who? Oh, Kaiser. That guy's a big softie. Come on, man.
He's a big teddy bear.
He's a big teddy bear. That's right. I give him hugs too. Yes, sir. I will have a hug, sir.
So when we meet, what would you like? A big hug, a big sloppy kiss, a
crisp high five,
handshake at a distance, or a crisp American high five with a woo.
Yeah.
Did you like a big woo?
Yeah. Or we could have someone film it. We could jump at the same time and do like a freeze frame.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. What do we got? Last minute stuff.
Well, former guest Dave Vandenbout wrote a cool a cool post about some of the stuff he's doing with KiCad and tying together. Is it KiCad? Maybe it's not KiCad. It's just about automating capacitor placement and stuff like that on boards, right? Like the things where you're doing a lot of it, right? So he's trying to, and that is tough, right? Especially for FPGAs when you have, you have sometimes upward with like 100 decoupling caps, stuff like that.
Yeah, but I love that detail stuff. I wouldn't want to automate that. I love stroking my non-beard and going, oh yeah, I'm going to put a bypass cap there because I've got the power of the designer.
I
wouldn't want that automated. Hell no.
Well,
no.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just.
That's okay.
No, it's my design. I'm gonna know. I'm gonna say where I put the damn traces.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I think this is actually the schematic level. Sorry, I think this is schematic level, so it's just connection. It's just connecting by the nets, right? So yeah.
But, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I always like Dave's post, and he's doing KiCad stuff, so in general. One thing we don't have on the list, but we are allowed to mention, is the upcoming contest that you kind of hinted at in one of your videos.
Oh yes, I did a sneak peek at the new Keysight scope.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we will be helping out with some of that stuff, and people should get ready. There will be a buttload of scopes to win that you may have or may not have already seen. So we'll have more.
We have some for the amp hour specifically. For amp hour
I believe we'll have some for and we'll have our own giveaways as well. But there will be like general giveaway stuff coming up. I think it's like the video contests. So, rev your engines. We'll have more details. We'll link to that stuff in the subreddit once it's out. So,
and we will be judges in the.
That's right. Yes.
In the yes, because it was a schmozzle last year where it was internet voting, and of course Bodie McBoatface won it.
Yeah.
And
right.
everyone.
Exactly like we talked about 2 weeks ago. Yep.
And everyone got in uproar, and rightly so. It was. Yeah, people were buying votes and that sort of crap. No. So, panel, our decision will be final.
That's right.
Yes.
In charge.
I like that.
Yeah. Other things, we had Zach on a while ago, but I cannot understand it, but whatever. There is another video game for making hardware.
He's done another one.
No, it's not Zach. That's what's crazy. It's a different publisher.
Oh, sorry. All right.
Yeah. MHRD. It's like you actually, it says you're designing various hardware circuits in a hardware description language. When does this stop being a game?
So this is actually a thing now, right? With two different companies doing it. This is a thing.
Yeah.
This is a genre.
I think that's the idea. It's like this is a genre, right? What did he call? I forget that Zach called the game. They were called like Zachisms or something like that. It was something like that.
Oh God, yeah, right.
But it says, welcome to MicroHard. Become a hardware engineer. Join the hardware startup MicroHard. Immerse yourself in the technology of the 80s and disrupt the tech industry. So
that's great.
Just yeah.
That's like
yeah, it's crazy.
It's brilliant. Like why wouldn't you want to play that?
Again, we still want to hear from you. If anyone ever sees Zachtronics or now this one or anything else on a resume, you have to screenshot it and send it. You don't have to send us all the resume,
yes,
right?
Please.
Yeah, there's privacy stuff.
Just screenshot
we need to hear about that because it's going to happen, and it's going to be one of our listeners reading these resumes, and they'll know.
I'm like number one in the, and we'll have contests, you know.
Yeah,
and like
right.
I'm the world, you know, the world expert in
Right.
in you know playing whatever micro
man.
hard.
Yeah,
you know,
that's crazy.
I'm like the world champion in micro
Right,
hard.
that's really weird. Yeah,
What's the world coming to?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yep. We'll find out next week.
Yeah, I think we will. Yeah, I guess there's other links on the subreddit like usual. Thanks to our Patreon people, as always.
Do we have anyone on for next week?
We sort of do. I'll tell you about it after the show.
No. There you go.
Yeah, and
I'm always the last to know.
yes, that's right. People, there are a couple of people who have been like, so like the I'm still working on the site, but if you click the title of the post, there are notes every week. There's notes. So if you're like, I wonder what this link was. I've had a couple people ask me what links were for the header thing I was talking about earlier in the show, but also other stuff. There are show notes, so please check those out. And if we're missing anything, post in the comments. So that's all I got.
Sweet. That's all I got. I'm done.
All right, man. Well, thanks. Well,
Go do something useful.
yeah, go make a Nixie thing, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you next week.
Catch you next time.
So, for next week,